Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Sports. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my right, it's the man that knows better, Mr. Yamamoto. Mo better.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat. Welcome.
Mo, something happened 5 years ago. Last night, today, same thing. We're celebrating it. 5 years ago today, something happened in my life that, started the course for Coffee and Sports. Oh, maybe not for Coffee and Sports, but for Wire to Wire Network and for Wire to Wire. Our first show ever was 5 years ago, October 14th, 9 p.m. at night to 11 p.m. at night, 2020. So tonight we'll be celebrating our 5-year anniversary. And, I just wanted to open the show with that. I felt pretty fired up about that.
Well, congratulations to you, Cottrell, Uncle Shally. And I did not know that. I'm glad you brought that up to the chat and all our listeners and followers. And I will make a point for sure to tune in to congratulate you guys live in the chat.
Trust me, man. Everybody that listens is appreciated. Whether we have 800 views like we do some weeks or 8,800 views like we had 3 weeks ago. I'm just thrilled to be able to talk sports with people I love and care about, whether that be on Coffee and Sports, whether that be on Wire to Wire, whether that be on Sideline to Sideline. I just enjoy it. It is fun for me to be able to get on here and talk sports with people that I respect their opinions. And it's been a long road, right? So what I mean by that is I've been on here with guys that have said the wildest shit. And I'm just like, I can't be in this room anymore. I can't be on here anymore. And then I'm in here with somebody I respect so much that I constantly ask for their opinion and assurance, and someone in the likes of you. So it's been a long road. We've done a lot of fine tuning, but one thing I can proudly tell you is that every show that is on Wire to Wire Network right now, that people put in a ton of hard work. They're knowledgeable in their reoccurring sport, whether it be Steven with baseball, or Alex with baseball and college football, or whatever the scenario is, passion and precision. And one, you got us. I said this right now. I know basketball, right? But I don't know basketball anywhere near the likes of you and Brett. And to be able to just kind of listen to some of your shows, and part of what I do is, you guys are, I'm an old man, all right? I got an early bedtime. I'm up at 6 a.m. every day. So your late show, and it might not be late for some people, but for me, it's late. I'll listen to that as I'm going to bed, and then I'll kind of rewind it as I'm waking up in the morning. I might not always be in the chat, but it's playing on my speaker. The point I'm trying to make when I say that is there's so much really good content going on Wire to Wire Network. And I just kind of want to start the show there, just shouting out the group of people we have from everywhere, from all likes.
It's an amazing group. And I'm not just whistling Dixie. It's an amazing group. It's the kind of group, I'll put it this way. We always talk about sometimes the end game or where we would like to be. Oh, well, the end game is we want to be bigger. We want to grow more. We want our fan base and followers to grow more. But I would talk sports with you, Cottrell, Shally, Alex, anybody in the crew, Jory, Kyle. I can keep going because I know they all enjoy talking sports. We do it because we love doing it. We've talked about it a lot. We haven't done it yet, but I think we will at some point. We're going to arrange somewhere where we all meet up and we actually sit down and we're in person. And that might be the greatest sports debate ever, to have everybody live. And maybe not even just talking sports, maybe just hanging and getting to know each other. And that would be a blast.
Yeah, my man, I love it. I listen to Passion and Precision Pod, Jory and Kyle. They're great. And
they're amazing
now. There's just so many shows that are successful on the network. And I really appreciate that, man. Karam in the chat, I see you all the time on YouTube, and I thank you. And that's for everybody. 5 minutes in, let's get into sports. I just wanted to kind of start the show there and shout out some of the awesome people we get to work with. What's up, Key? It's me. It's Key. Let's start here. Last night, the Dodgers took a 2-0 lead. The Seattle Mariners have a 2-0 lead and both of these teams did it on the road. Went into the opposing team's ballpark and won 2 games. LA last night went into Milwaukee, and Yamamoto, who has been known for being a little fragile mentally, his home road splits aren't the best. I remember his first start, he got smacked around. The pressure was a ton for him. There was a lot of talk of them pushing his start back when they were playing against the Phillies because they wanted him to pitch at home as opposed to pitching in the bank. Yamamoto went into Milwaukee last night through a complete. And by the way, one of the hardest things to do, your first batter that you throw to, Jackson Chourio, sends you over the wall, 1-0. It's like, oh no, here we go. And then proceeded to absolutely dominate that Brewers lineup. So much that they only allowed 2 hits for the rest of the game. I have to give credit where credit's due. The Dodgers take a 2-0 lead, and if I'm being completely transparent, they've done it basically without Shohei Ohtani, who's going to be the league's MVP. He's batting like 147.
Right.
We're on a collision course for Seattle versus LA. I feel it. Does Toronto or Milwaukee have a chance? Are these series this is bad for Major League Baseball? Am I right?
I think it is. If it goes the path that it's going. Look, I've told you this before. For all their talent, the Dodgers can get complacent and let teams back into series. But for them to come out and go up 2-0 on a Milwaukee Brewers team that has owned them throughout the season is beyond impressive. And you're right about Yamamoto. He's the kind of pitcher that if he's disrupted early, he's done for the game. That first hit, that homer, as a fan, I was like, yeah, he's not going to make it out of the second inning. I thought he was going to kind of unravel, and he composed himself. And he was just amazing throughout the game. I'm not going to say the series is over because Milwaukee's a very good baseball team. But I'll just say they've dug themselves a very deep hole.
And it seems to be coming from everywhere, right? Max Muncy, who doesn't play against left-handed pitching, basically didn't start any of the games versus the Phillies, just game 4. And he hit a home run last night. Teoscar Hernandez, who, by the way, is got to be one of the dumbest baseball players. Extremely talented. Lazy and stupid would be understatements. And I don't mean, listen, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. It is disrespectful. He's a guy that I hate playing baseball against or with a guy like Teoscar Hernandez. Let me give you an example of what I mean. He's probably the God-given most talented player on that Dodgers team. He can hit a ball so hard, one of the best hitters in baseball. Game 1, they win the game by 1 run. The first 8-6-2 putout in the history of playoff baseball that happened. A fly ball to center field. They kind of collide, they bounce off each other, bounces off the wall. If you're on third base and you play any level of baseball, it's first touch, and as soon as they touch the ball, you're tagging up, you just go home. Really easy concept. For whatever reason, Teoscar Hernandez didn't know basic Little League. I mean, we know that in slow pitch softball. This is the Major League Baseball player. And, as soon as the ball bounces off of one glove, hits the wall, another guy catches it, they call it down. And the center fielder picks it up, throws it in, hits the shortstop. The shortstop throws home and gets him on a force out. I don't know how that's physically possible. But it was because he didn't know the rule, and he went back to tag up after the ball was touched once and then got thrown out at home plate. I think that's borderline impossible. But then to come back and hit a big home run to give them a 2-1 lead. It's like he does this all the time. Think of game 1 in Philadelphia. JT Realmuto hits a ball that he should easily cut off. He walks to it, like literally just lets it roll to the fence. Like it was embarrassingly bad. The announcers, the broadcast team, it cost the Dodgers 2 runs. They're down 2 runs in the game, and Teoscar Hernandez takes a 2-1 pitch by Matt Strahm over the right field wall for a 3-run homer. So like he makes up for his mistakes with big home runs. So I guess, Mo, I'm going to ask you this. Are you rooting for a bad play from Teoscar Hernandez so he can give you an even bigger play later?
You shouldn't say you're rooting for it, but the pattern has been that he makes a horrendous play and then makes a play that actually turns the game around. So maybe I'm leaning that way a little bit. If I was going to say a comp, even though it's a completely different sport, I think Hernandez he's a prime he's a comparable player would be Russell Westbrook in his prime. He would make Russ in his prime, because people forget he had a prime. Russ would do horrible things that would make a coach pull his hair out, and then he would turn around and make a steal or assist or a dunk that would turn the game and win the game. It's that roller coaster. I'm going to keep Hernandez on my roster because the talent, and like you said, the ability to hit the way he can hit, you're going to deal with some of the bonehead plays. You are.
Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto accomplished a rare feat. This hasn't happened in years, where game 1 and game 2 starters on the road pitched 8 and 9 innings, 17 combined innings from their starter. That doesn't happen very often, and I got it. And the fact that they're going to go out and pitch Tyler Glasnow now, and they still haven't pitched Shohei Ohtani this series is insane. The wealth of talent that Dodgers team has. Like even the lineup, Ohtani has hit terrible. He's been awful this postseason. But you got Mookie Betts, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Max Muncy, you got Tommy Edman, you got Teoscar Hernandez, who we just talked about. Andy Podges has been great. Kiki Hernandez, who's just every postseason seems to wake up and remember how to hit line drives down the third baseline for big doubles in baseball games. The lineup is deep. The pitching is deep. I love Seattle. I just don't see. I think Seattle's lineup completely falls off a cliff after 6. Whereas you can't say that with the Dodgers. I think Seattle's pitching staff can match up with the Dodgers. After they go Julio Rodriguez, they go Dumper, they go Arozarena, Eugenio Suarez, and the guy that's absolutely killing it. I don't know why I'm losing my mind right now. See, sometimes the reason this show is called Coffee and Sports in the Morning is because Gene needs a goddamn coffee before he gets rolling. But I'm obviously talking about Jorge Polanco, who's been absolutely mashing the ball. But outside of their top of their lineup, I feel like it drops off a cliff after Eugenio Suarez. They got a guy batting in their DH that's batting 083 in the postseason. But the top of that order had 8 of their 10 RBIs in game 2 versus the Blue Jays. 9 out of their 10 runs were contributed from their top 6 players. Whereas the Dodgers, it just feels different.
Like you said, it's coming from everywhere. Let me ask you this.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
say the Dodgers go on in advance. They even go on to win the World Series. But Shohei, let's say he continues to bat the way he's batted so far. Look, I know in the end it's all about winning, and that's all that matters. And he's going to be the MVP. You're right again. But at some point, will he be criticized for not really being big in the postseason, or the fact that they're winning is all that matters? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think last year kind of put an end to that because he was big in the postseason. I mean, he wasn't Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman was their guy last year, but I think last year when they won the World Series, he was still fine. I think he batted 320 in the postseason, which is all you can ask out of a player. He's been terrible this year. I think he's batting like 140 something. And that's with a hit last night.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be criticized if they win a World Series. Winning fixes a lot of things. The critique comes when you lose the World Series and you look at Ohtani, who batted 147, and you're like, hey, we're paying you $70 million a year, brother. We need a little bit more than 147. And Dave Roberts to pretend that when he's asked the question, is Shohei struggling? And he says, no. I don't know what game you're watching, Dave, but 147 struggling at any level.
No, I'm with you. And I agree. As long as they're winning, it's not a thing, right? It's never gonna be a thing. And this isn't in any way to deny how great a player he is or that he's been. I'm just going within the framework of this season. And that goes back to what you said. They're so deep and so talented, they can be where they are, and he still can struggle.
Well, I think we're looking for a Dodgers-Seattle Mariners World Series. It'll be a West Coast series to begin with. Looks like all the games will start at 9 o'clock. Get everybody rocking and rolling out in the West Coast. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good World Series. I think Seattle has the arms to compete with LA. I'll be rooting my butt off for Seattle just because LA is they're like the Yankees at this point. They're that dynasty team you like to root against. You want to root for the little guy that Seattle doesn't win it. So I'll be rooting for Seattle. I'm not rooting for Milwaukee, though, because the funny thing about Milwaukee is they're the most annoying little brother of a team. Like, oh, no one's mentioning us. You guys have had the best record in baseball all year. People have mentioned you all year. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but they're constantly, we're not getting mentioned in the likes of the Yankees and the Phillies and the Dodgers. Well, here's your moment. Didn't do anything with it. I want to change pace a little bit, move over to the NFL. Yeah, I'm with you, Gio. Mariners fan here. I love it. I want to change pace over here to the NFL. And I want to talk about one of my favorite players from last year's Eagles Super Bowl run, and that's C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.J. Gardner-Johnson plays with incredible intensity. He is one of the best trash talkers in all football. However, that trash talk, I think, is one of those things, and Mel, I'm going to ask you this because I think it's interesting. If you didn't see, he signed with the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. The Ravens then traded for a safety, and then they amicably agreed to release C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The agent and the GM, hey, listen, we were looking for a little bit more of a clear path to play football. We weren't trying to remain on your practice squad. So he was released yesterday. CJ posted on Twitter yesterday, I just want to take a moment to thank all the teams I've been a part of, all the coaches, teammates, and everyone who supported me along the way. My passion for the game is still strong. I'm excited to keep working, improving, and continuing to play the sport that I love. I want to translate, and I'd love to hear if you hear that translation. Hey, guys, when I was contributing to winning Super Bowls and winning football teams, I could talk a lot of shit and blast teams on the way out. Now that I'm considered somewhat of a liability and the Texans cut me and I couldn't make it on the Baltimore Ravens roster, I'm realizing my mouth is getting me in a lot of trouble. So I'm gonna peel that back a little bit and apologize and thank all those people for being there for me in hopes of signing with another team. What are your thoughts on C.J. Gardner-Johnson?
I think that you'll appreciate this. He certainly sounds very Donovan McNabb like. Very, very, very company man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a good guy. I'm grateful. Like you said, he realizes now that he's not valued the same way. He still wants to play football, and I get that. So now he's auto-corrected, and he sounds more like a company man. And look, do whatever you have to do to extend your career, and maybe he's realized I need to tone down the trash talking and sound a little bit more like a team guy, a company guy. and that might garner him another job. I still think he has some football in him. It might be more in a situational role, but I still think he has football left in him.
Absolutely would love the Philadelphia Eagles to re-sign him. I don't think it's going to happen because it's the second time he's left the Philadelphia Eagles building because of his mouth. And on the way out, he, instead of saying thank you, I won a Super Bowl, he said, I'm just letting you know that team's never going to win a Super Bowl. Won't see a ring without me. Then he retracted the statement, calling it disrespectful to his former teammates. He's been on multiple podcasts talking about how Howie Roseman kind of lied to him, saying that it was a money thing when it wasn't. The reason C.J. Gardner-Johnson got released from the Philadelphia Eagles, or traded and then released, is because of his mouth. He causes fights and arguments within the team. He wore a hoodie on the parade that said Swifties can Super Bowl 59 and you can kind of put the pieces to the puzzle together. It's a family show. But like, you do realize Jason Kelce is one of the most beloved Philadelphia Eagles. His brother is engaged to Taylor Swift. I don't know. That might have had something to do with you getting released. Like, the guy's got to shut up. And if I'm Jason Kelce and I'm constantly in that building, and this guy's talking about my, probably my sister-in-law going forward, it's going to be tough for me not to say something to the guy. Am I tripping when I think that?
No, I look, like you said, you're talking about one of the most beloved Eagles of all time, beloved in the community. I just think that if I'm C.J. Gardner-Johnson's agent, we got to have a come to Jesus conversation. Like, dude, if you really want to keep playing, if you want to play in this league, you got to have a complete personality makeover. Maybe it just starts with you keeping your mouth shut.
I completely agree with you. I wish he would. Because I love him on the football field. The attitude he brings to the defense makes the defense different. And I don't think it's a surprise that he played in 2022. He played on the Philadelphia Eagles. They made the Super Bowl. In 2023, he played on the Detroit Lions. They made it to the NFC Championship game. 2024, he played on the Philadelphia Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. He's definitely someone that contributes to winning. That's not luck. The fact that where he goes, they get better. But sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze. CJ got to learn to be quiet.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I agree with you, Jordan. I agree with you. Let's move on. Let's move forward. Listen, I love that they have named this game between the Steelers and the Bengals on Thursday night. Did you hear this yet, Mo? They got a name. Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Icy Hot Bowl. And I think that's hilarious. I think that's such a clever nickname, the Icy Hot Bowl, because you got two of the oldest starting quarterbacks in football going up against each other to see who's going to have a longer career. Thursday Night Football, short week for both of them. Who wins the Icy Hot Bowl between the Bengals and Steelers?
Oh, I think the Steelers win. I don't think it's going to be a competitive football game. They're two of the oldest quarterbacks, but if we're being honest, Rodgers is playing at a really good level. He's been solid, rock solid. Joe Flacco has been awful all season. And Cincinnati had to be desperate if they thought that Joe Flacco was an upgrade because he's been terrible. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all. I'm booking it that he's going to turn the football over at least 2 times, maybe more. I think the Steelers blow them out.
Jory's name might be better. You call it the AARP Bowl.
It is better. That's good, Jory. Jory be on it.
Jory, I'm going to apologize to you right now. The next topic might not be one you like. And I apologize. I love you. I hope you understand that this is all in love. But I got to talk about it. Now, the good start is the fact that the Titans have fired Brian Callahan. I know you guys talked about it earlier in the week. But they fired Brian Callahan. And that's great news for the Titans. And as much as I tried to be optimistic during his tenure there. I remember when he was hired, and I got yelled at in the chat that I said it was a really bad hire. He's an offensive line coach. His dad's an offensive line coach. I just don't see this being the right situation for Callahan. I didn't think he was ready to be a head coach. He basically took a piss next to Joe Burrow, and now he's a head coach. I'm really interested to see the next hire for the Titans. I want to see the next guy that they hire for that team, because you have a quarterback that, once again, you put yourself in this situation. Yeah. Now, the Chicago Bears are seemingly looking like they might figure this out. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, hopefully that marriage works. It's almost like, hey, I got divorced. Let's get together, and it might be that marriage that you need. But you draft the number one quarterback. Your job strictly is to develop the number one quarterback. That's it. And when you hire a coach, that coach has a built-in excuse. Well, that's not my guy. I tried. That's not my guy. Who do you think would be the right fit to take over? I have a guy that no one is talking about, and I guarantee you he will not get interviewed, but I think it's the right fit. This is me being a little bit too much of a nerd, but yeah, see, Damian said Mike McCarthy to Tennessee. I would hate that. I know he's a quarterback guru. I would pay Mike McCarthy any amount of money to be my quarterback's coach or my offensive coordinator to work specifically with my quarterback. He is not a good head coach. I just want to say that very clear.
So Damian is kind of where I'm at, though. I didn't want Mike McCarthy as the head coach, but I would bring him in as the OC or a quarterback's coach, because I think that's where he excels at. Some guys are great coordinators and horrible head coaches. He's not a horrible head coach, but he's not a great one either. And like we said, we've had this conversation ad nauseum. The next guy that comes in, he's got to be invested in that young quarterback, and he's got to make him his guy. But like you said, if they're together for 2 years and it doesn't work out, what is he going to say? Well, I didn't draft him. That's not my guy. He was already here when I got here. They have to hire someone who's truly invested in him. The kid has all the talent in the world. Ward has all the talent in the world, but they have to bring somebody in that can coach him up and let him develop and not be on a certain timetable.
I'll give you a name that I've been really high on, who's just the quarterback, passing game coordinator for a team. He was the offensive coordinator for the Texans, CJ Stroud's rookie year, and that's Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick took a job as a passing game coordinator with the Miami Dolphins, and he took that job because he was fired from OC because he was arguing and fighting too much with CJ Stroud. Like, he was trying to coach CJ hard, and CJ didn't want that. I don't know. I don't want to put that label on CJ. Ryan Day, I'm sure, coached him hard at Ohio State. But the point I'm trying to make is I think Bobby Slowick, the guy that developed a great situation for CJ Stroud his rookie year, would be the perfect guy to marry to, even if it's an OC. Even if you get a coach and that coach brings in Bobby Slowick as the OC, it's got to be an offensive-minded coach for Tennessee, though. It has to be. You don't draft a quarterback number one and then bring in Brian Flores. It's just a bad idea. I want Brian Flores to get a head coaching job as much as the next guy, but that's not what you do in that situation. Corey said, I will say, if the next coach doesn't work out, get rid of all of them at the same time. The GM, the head coach, and Brinker. Stop the staggering. I agree. Damian said Rex Ryan to the Titans, so we don't have to hear him talk on TV anymore. Rex Ryan's great. I think he's great on TV.
I think he's very entertaining. Very entertaining.
And I think he definitely wants to coach because, see, I don't agree with this, Key. He was very adamant about wanting the Jets job again before Aaron Glenn got it. So I think
Rex 100% wanted that Jets job.
Let me see what the odds are. Odds for Titans next head coach. See, there's going to be a guy on here from Buffalo. Yeah. Oh my God, this is insane. Wait till you hear this. You're going to laugh your ass off. So Joe Brady's the obvious name, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. What he's done is, something you really have to think about. The other names on this list are hilarious. Cliff Kingsbury.
No.
I don't think that's a good name at all. Or you want Mike McCarthy?
No. I mean,
Matt Nagy.
Not Matt Nagy, really?
It's like, how does he get another head coaching job?
He's getting another shot?
Chicago?
Right.
And then the other one's Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the LA Chargers. I don't think Jesse Minter's a bad head coach, or I don't think he'd be a bad head coaching candidate. You cannot hire a defensive head coach for the Titans coming up. You just can't do it. Just not a thing. So we'll see how that plays out. It'll be interesting, but those are the names to look out for, according to CBS Sports. Yeah, they have Matt Nagy, Joe Brady, Arthur Smith. That's a joke. Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, Jim Schwartz, defensive guy. Eddie George, who's stop it. Brian Flores, who just is listed on everybody's list at this point. Robert Saleh, another bad one. Todd Monken, who's done a terrible job as the Ravens OC, is going to get a head coaching job. And John Gruden are your top 10 candidates.
What? John Gruden making the way? Wait a minute. That's former Titan Eddie George?
Yes. He's Eddie George is coaching. He's coaching,
HBCU, right?
What'd you say?
I thought he was coaching an HBCU, and then he moved on
coaching
to
Bowling Green.
Yeah, he moved on to Bowling Green. Okay.
Yeah, he was Tennessee State's head coach, and he moved on to Bowling Green. But
no, he's not. He's not ready. It's a big.
Not ready for the NFL.
No,
yeah,
it's not.
Tennessee State, Bowling Green, Tennessee Titans.
No.
He said she's seen Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. That would be a mistake for both. Marcus Freeman's a very good defensive mind. I think he needs to build up Notre Dame. He can build a legacy at Notre Dame. There's no way I would leave that job. That is like top 10 college job in the country, and the security there is incredible as long as they stay relevant.
And if you mess around and win the national championship there, just one, you're a god. You're a made man forever at Notre Dame.
Correct. Let's move on. Let's move forward. Let's keep talking. We got some football games this week. I think there's some really good games on the docket in the NFL. I think finally Wembley Stadium in London, England is going to get a good football game. Last week, they got the shit show of the Jets versus Broncos. I don't even know if I could have watched that. Awful, terrible football. I've rewatched that on the All 22. That is one of the worst football games I've ever watched in my life. 13-11. But what they get this week is the Los Angeles Rams missing Puka, Hakuna, Matata, Nakua versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. coming along. You got Travis Hunter playing on both sides. I love that football game. No Puka Nakua and the Rams playing the Jaguars in London. Who do you like in that one, Mo?
That's a big no with no Puka. Here's the thing though. The Rams are still a really good football team. And I'm one of those kind of guys that I buy into the whole what it is. It's a quarterback-driven league. Lawrence has played better. Stafford's still a better quarterback. I think the Rams are a better football team. I think the Rams win a close football game.
The biggest problem with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and let me ask you a question. When you think of defensive fronts, like teams that get after the quarterback, that stack the quarterback, when you think of teams that do that, do you think, I'm serious when I say it, do you ever think Seattle's on that list?
I don't. They don't come to my mind.
They have Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, and a bag of Doritos getting after the quarter. Byron Murphy, former first rounder. But, they're not a team that comes to mind. They stacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times. And I watched that game. 5 of those sacks absolutely were not like there's zero opportunity. It was like he dropped back and bang, he was down. If you think that front got after Jacksonville, and then you're going to send them against Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk, Kobe Turner, that LA Rams team is going to eat on that defensive line. Liam Cullen better come up with a better strategy to protect his quarterback, because Trevor Lawrence is going to go down just like Joe Burrow because you're not protecting the quarterback. I would love to pick Jacksonville in this game. I can't with a good conscience. That Rams defensive front is too good. Jaguars aren't home. They get all the London games. I get it. But I don't call it a home. It's not a home crowd. There's not a bunch of Jaguar fans showing up. Like the Jaguars, when they play at home, they play really good football. Example, Monday Night Football versus the Chiefs.
That was great. I think their only chances, they have to be able to run the football. They have to be able to run the football to stall out that defensive line. They have to make them respect the run. They have to be able to run. They don't have to rush for 150 yards, but they have to run it well enough to slow down that pass rush.
I think the big game that happens in the afternoon is the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be taking on the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. And I don't know how, and I need someone to help me understand. And Mo, I think you said this earlier in the week, and I fully understand that, but how is the Minnesota Vikings not favored in this football game? Quinyon Mitchell is not going to play. He has a hamstring injury. The Philadelphia Eagles have no good cornerbacks on their roster. Keely Ringo's been awful. Dory Jackson's been worse. They traded for a guy that hasn't seen the field in Jacorian Bennett. I don't know how the Eagles stop that Vikings passing attack. And I don't care if it's me playing quarterback. I got Justin Jefferson and I got, Jordan Addison on the outside versus Keely Ringo and a Dory Jackson. What the heck? How are the Eagles favored in this football game?
Look, I get what you're saying, but let's be honest. Your former quarterback is known for turning the football over.
It's fair.
And he may very well throw for 300 plus yards on the Eagles and still give you guys 2 or 3 picks. I think the Eagles win the football game because they're going to win the turnover battle.
There's another 1:00 game I have to talk. Thursday night was a coming out party for Jackson Dart and Cam Skattebo. I don't want to be on here talking New York Giants football. I don't. But I mean, although there is a case study for CTE in Cam Skattebo already, he just dives headfirst into people, which is insane. They looked really good on Thursday night offensively. I think their defense can easily be had. I want to see what that offense does this week playing at Denver against the Broncos defense. Now, I want to remind you this. This happens infrequently. The Denver Broncos played last week in London at 9:30. You have the option to pick the game on your schedule or pick the bye. Most teams pick the bye. The Denver Broncos did what the Green Bay Packers did years ago and picked the Jets. This year, the Broncos picked the Giants. It's disrespectful. You come back from London, you should come back into the bye, but the Broncos didn't want that. The Broncos wanted the Giants at home. The last time a team did this was the Green Bay Packers, who picked the Jets and lost. I think it's an interesting scenario. A 1:00 start. 4:00 start in Denver, 1:00 in Denver, coming back from London, short week. Cam Scatterboo, who's really tough to tackle. Do the Giants give Denver a run for their money this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good football game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring football game.
No.
Because the Broncos' offense it's inconsistent at best, but that defense is on par. I'm going to be interested to see what Dart and Scatterboo can do versus that defense. Yeah, Scatterboo runs hard. That's a really good defense. And Jackson Dart, I like his attitude. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't like the way he doesn't protect himself. You can't run that way like a quarterback and have a long career. You can't. He takes way too many big shots. So he's got to be smarter with when he chooses to take off or not. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think it's a good game. I think it's a defensive game. But I'm going to give the Broncos the edge because they've got the better defense.
Sounds like a plan. Moving on to another 4:00 game, I think that is worth mentioning, which, by the way, this is embarrassing. The LA Chargers are a good football team. They won a game on the road versus Miami. They're playing against the Indianapolis Colts, which are another good football team. It's $22 to go watch this game at SoFi. $22. And LA wonders why all these teams invade their stadium. For $22, I can go watch a football game? Embarrassing. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Indiana Jones-led Colts going into SoFi, taking on SoFi's second time. They're 0-1 in SoFi this year. They lost to the Rams. This week, they're going to take on the Chargers.
This is going to be a tough game for the Colts because, look, I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan. I think even with all the devastating injuries the Chargers have had, this is still a tough-minded football team. They still have the weapons on the outside. The real question with the Chargers is, can you run the football well enough that play action is still a weapon for Herbert? If Herbert can step back and lean into a throw without somebody being all over him, I think the Chargers will actually pull off. It's funny to say this, the upset, right? Because I'm assuming the Colts are the favorites to win.
The Colts are 1.5. No, the Chargers are 1.5 point favorites.
I think it's a close game. And the Colts, even the game that they lost, they should have won. But I'm going to lean with Jim Harbaugh and them having a game plan to disrupt the Colts offense. And that starts with shutting down Jonathan Taylor. If you can stop Jonathan Taylor and make it all on Dr. Jones, I think you got a chance to win.
For $22, Chargers fans should sell it out. I agree. I like the Colts in this game. I think the Chargers are too beat up front. But I love Jim Harbaugh, and I think he'll disguise a defense that'll be good enough to slow down the Colts a little bit. But we'll see how that plays out. Should be a good football game. I'm going to skip over the trash can bowl between the Commanders and Cowboys and head into Sunday Night Football because this is my favorite and best bet of the week. You're going to laugh at me, Mel. You're going to laugh at me. The Atlanta Falcons coming off a huge win on Monday Night Football versus the Buffalo Bills. Bijan Robinson, unstoppable. Drake London, 9 catches for 147. Michael Penix looked good in the game. The Falcons defense with Raheem Morris looks better and better each week. And they're going up against the San Francisco 49ers in Levi. And I love the 49ers. I know Fred Warner's not there. I understand. We don't know if we're getting mac and cheese or Brock Purdy. I don't know. But what I will say is this. The Falcons are not a good road team. They've never been a good road team. They're not good on grass. They've never been good on grass. And they're traveling on a short week off an emotional win, and they're playing at Robert Saleh, one of the top defensive coordinators in football, and Kyle Shanahan, one of the top offensive minds in football. You're going to give those guys an extra day or two to prep, an extra day or two to rest, and you're going to play. You know, last time the Falcons played on grass, they lost 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. I love the 49ers in this football game. Mo, talk me off the ledge.
I can't, only because I believe that Robert Saleh is going to put together a defensive game plan, even without Fred Warner. They're going to shut down Bijan Robinson. I'm not saying you're going to shut him down in every aspect, but he's not running for 100 yards versus that defense. I think they shut down Bijan and they put more pressure on Penix, put it on his shoulders. I think when you put it on Penix's shoulders, because that offense is different, right? Even in this quarterback-driven league, that offense isn't built around Penix. It's built around Bijan Robinson. You shut down Bijan Robinson and you put it on Penix's shoulders, Penix is going to throw you a couple of picks.
Purdy questionable. Jawan Jennings questionable. Jennings said after Sunday's loss to the Bucs that he played with 5 broken ribs.
That's crazy.
Ricky Pearsall is questionable. But I'll tell you right now, when you watch Mac Jones and you remember the movie A Star is Born, Kendrick Bourne has been incredible with Mac Jones. And Kyle Shanahan just gets off on winning games that he shouldn't win and being like, look at me, it's my scheme. I'm telling you, it just looks like, I'm not 100% sure. They haven't activated him yet, but I think they're going to get back George Kittle this week.
Look, you get back Kittle, that improves your run game because he's a terrific blocker. It also gives you another vertical threat down the seam. I love it. And look, Brock's our guy, but damn it if Mac Jones isn't playing really, really well. My motto is if Brock's not 100%, don't rush it back because Mac Jones is holding the fort down. The offense it's been very good. Mac Jones had a turnover last, but it's been very good. I think the offense is going to be able to move the ball against that Atlanta defense. Now, the Atlanta defense is much improved, and their pass rush is much better than it's ever been. But you know how you go after a pass rush like that? A lot of bubble screens, a lot of screens. You make them pay for being that aggressive. And I think Shanahan's the perfect coach for that.
It's almost like they've played together before, Kyle. Mac and Bourne are cooking.
Exactly. Former Patriots. Exactly.
It's interesting. Monday Night Football, we have another doubleheader, and we have the game of the week in my eyes. I think most people's eyes. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who just find ways to win football games. 5-1 are going to go into Detroit to take on the 4-2 Detroit Lions. Detroit is a 5.5-point favorite in this football game. Detroit coming off a loss Sunday night at Kansas City. Tampa Bay coming off a win at home versus San Francisco. Mo, who do you got in Bucs at Lions?
My bias knows no bounds, so I'm always going to be on the Baker train. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but I think the Bucs will be right there. To me, this game has all the makings of a shootout. It does. And in a shootout, I'm going to take Baker Mayfield over Jared Goff.
I love that you took the Buccaneers in this game. I don't know who wins the game, but there's not a prayer that I'm taking the Lions -5.5. These teams played in Detroit multiple times the last few years. Tampa Bay was one of their only losses 2 years ago. Last year. Tampa Bay lost to them in the playoff game 2 years ago. They've played, for whatever reason, Todd Bowles has certain quarterbacks number, and he does a great job versus the Detroit Lions. Baker Mayfield is playing like an MVP of football, and if he wins this game, clear-cut MVP in my eyes. But the problem with Tampa is this week, you might not have Mike Evans, you might not have Chris Godwin, and you're not going to have Emeka Egbuka. I don't know who Baker's going to throw the ball to. Tez Johnson? I can't pick them No Bucky, no Evans, no Godwin, no Ibuka. It's Cade Otton, Tej Johnson, and Rashad White. How does he win that game? We'll see.
Yeah, look, everything says they're in trouble, right? Detroit has all their weapons at their disposal, and they have all that firepower. And you're like, who's Baker throwing to? I 100% get that. I even get the fact that it would not shock me if Hutchinson gets a couple of sacks. He's that dude. And yet, I'm not saying it's going to be pretty. Baker will find a way to keep that game close.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a great football game to watch. It's the reason the Lions are 5.5-point favorites. So, last game of the Monday night docket, and then we'll move on to one more topic, is Houston at Seattle. Seattle's playing great football. Houston coming off the bye. Games in Seattle. Who do you like in that one? Seahawks at home? Sam Darnold's playing like an MVP candidate himself.
Yeah, I'm giving Sam Darnold a lot of credit because sometimes guys can have a great season and you call it a one-off. After week one, ever since week one, he played really good football. They've got a steady running game, and they've got a really good defense that nobody talks about. I'm not sold on the Texans' offense. I'm just not. I'm not sold on their offense. And I think it's going to be a long night for Stroud. He's going to get sacked 4 or 5, maybe more times than that. I don't see how the Texans score versus Seattle.
I am completely with you. If they sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times and they're going against the Texans pass rush, holy hell. I don't see a world in which they don't get after the quarterback. I feel bad for CJ Stroud. I want to change course. We got one more topic, and I just wanted to get into the Mavs have signed Jason Kidd to a multi-year contract extension. Do you think Jason Kidd has deserved the contract extension for Dallas?
I do. I think J Kidd is he built the culture there, and I don't know how many coaches could survive that trade. You traded away one of the, you know what I mean? Nobody trades away a top 5 player who wasn't 26 years old at the time, and yet the Mavs did that. And Jason Kidd still steadied that ship. He lost Kyrie Irving, and he still steadied that ship. I think Jason Kidd has grown as a coach. If you look at his time with Milwaukee and other stops, he's gotten better. And I think that as he's gotten older, he relates better to players, and he's just more of a strategist. There was a time when I thought he was one of those coaches that he'd have a plan A, but there was no plan B. He's learned how to make adjustments. So I think he's absolutely worthy of that extension. And look, with Cooper Flag coming in, you've got AD back. You still have a core that's going to be a competitive team in the West, and the West is no slouch. So, no, I think it's good that you stabilize your head coach with your GM and your young star who's going to be maybe runaway rookie of the year, right?
Is this the equivalent to what I say in football is marrying the coach to the quarterback with Jason Kidd and Cooper Flag?
I 100% think that's what that is. I think that they looked at Jason Kidd and Cooper Flag and said, I want J Kidd to be the guy to mentor this guy along the path because he's going to be the next superstar, which I do believe he's going to be that.
I just love your thoughts on this. And by the way, you guys talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on it one more time. And I wanted to kind of see if I can sprinkle in my opinion. Dawn Staley said she's convinced that the NBA teams might never be ready to hire a woman as a head coach after her experience with the New York Knicks. Staley boasts one of the greatest coaching resumes in the history of basketball, which is why the Knicks interviewed her earlier this year, but ultimately chose Mike Brown. Staley said she was legitimately interviewed by the Knicks and entered the process with an open mind, but acknowledged that she doesn't think the league is ready for a historic hire. No, I don't believe it will happen in my lifetime, Staley said during SEC Media Day. I hope I'm wrong. Staley's 55 years old, said she accepted the interview, the opportunity from the Knicks because she is known team president Leon Rose and senior advisor Worldwide Wes. I tend to agree with Dawn Staley. And I heard some of your comments yesterday, but I would love to hear, like, when do you think the first women's head coach is hired in the NBA?
I don't know. But I will say this. I hope she's wrong. I'd like to believe that they're smart enough to realize that someone who knows basketball knows basketball. You know what I mean? Plain and simple, just knows basketball. And if I say this, it'll come out wrong. But I'm gonna say it. I think Mike Brown's a good coach. He's been a good coach everywhere he's been. But I don't think Mike Brown, the coach, is a better coach than John Staley, the coach. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think he's a better coach. I'm just talking about X's and O's and knowing the game of basketball. I don't think he's any levels above her. She's actually more accomplished than he is if you really think about it. I think New York is probably the wrong city to look for that to happen. But maybe one of the smaller market cities would be smart enough just to realize like she's just a better coach. My problem with the NBA is they regurgitate old coaches all the time. They very rarely open the door up for a young coach, male or female at all. But somebody's got to break that ceiling. And I wish, because I'm a huge fan, I wish it were Dawn Staley. I really do. And I think 55, she's still a fairly young person. She's going to get an opportunity. I want somebody to just interview her, give her the opportunity, and treat her the way you would treat anybody else and judge them on their merit. I think she's ready right now to be a head coach at the NBA level. But I'm also understanding her skepticism about breaking that ceiling because it's easier said than done because it's never been done. I hope that it's not as far down the road as she thinks it is. I'd like to think they were more open-minded than that, but they haven't proven to be so to this point.
I'll say this. I am very glad that Dawn Staley did not get the head coaching job in the New York Knicks. I'm happy. Not because I don't want Dawn Staley to be the head coach. I think the first head coach should be Dawn Staley. I just don't think New York and the Knicks and that organization and that president is the right situation. I would love her to be the head coach of, the Atlanta Hawks,
Yes.
the Memphis Grizzlies,
Yes.
the Charlotte Hornets. Build them out.
Yeah.
Give her time. Give her immediate. It's not going to make rude mentions and have pictures of her on the front page of the New York Times.
Correct.
Like, I want her to get the head coaching job, but I want it to be in the right situation.
I like the way you framed that. Right. If she went to Chicago and she took over for Billy Donovan, that would be giving her a fair opportunity because they'd be like, she's following Billy Donovan. He hadn't done that since he's been here. Like, but to put her on the head coach of the Knicks, a team that was in the conference semis, or like the expectations in that city with that media market, they would eat her alive without giving her a real opportunity. Correct. So I'm with you. I need her to go to a smaller market team that's not been as relevant so she can be part of that buildup.
I completely agree with that sentiment. That's kind of where I'm at. That's all we got today. So we're at our time for today. Make sure to tune in tonight to Wire to Wire Sports Podcast as we celebrate our 5th year anniversary. Started last night, 5 years ago. I appreciate everybody in the comments, in the chat, Damian, Kyle. I'll tell you right now, the Karam comment earlier really made me smile. Talking about every Friday, it's the best part, listening to Passion and Precision. I love shit like that. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Mo, close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
See y'all tonight.